Stevie, I missed him in the booth yesterday, but I then found out that he was going to retire, but NBC insisted that he come back, so he's cut back his schedule a bit, but we will see him as the spring moves along into the summer. British Open and the Ryder Cup this year, too. He's our good pal, Johnny Miller. John, long time, always a pleasure. Christopher Russo, how are you today, okay?
Yeah, Chris, it's nice to be on the show again. Yeah, I've sort of been hidden, so to speak. I haven't done any events since last year, the President's Cup, Liberty National. So that's a long break. But I'll be doing not this week at Tampa with Tiger, but Tiger's going to play at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I'll be doing that one, and then also I'll do the match play in Austin, Texas, and the Houston Open. And then, of course, the Masters I don't do, but I will be in attendance. So I'll be resurfacing, I guess is the word for it.
Very good. I'm glad to hear it. It's funny. Before we get to Mickelson and Tiger, I had on for the first time ever in October. And I knew me, my old partner Mike, we talked forever. But, and it was great. And we spent a lot of time on the 75 U.S. Open, 75 Masters, Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah, that's a good interview. Always, Jack's a good buddy of mine, like my older brother. We do a lot of fishing together, and he's just a good guy, and he's become more accessible, and I think a lot of guys are doing that. Even Hale Irwin's got his own radio little show, and Ben Crenshaw. A lot of the guys, when you stop playing, you can disappear, and if you want to keep making money on the side, like in golf course design and you gotta have a little bit of a presence out there to keep people from totally forgetting you.
Yeah, and that's one that you love. That really got away. You would have loved to have won that tournament. You've told me before, if nothing else, 75 Masters, John. You could come back and play it every year after that once you win it once. That one bothers you even to this day, correct?
I don't really have a lot of things that keep me up at night. I'm like a world class sleeper. As long as my family's doing well, I got going on. Well, my son Andy, who played the tour for a year, is having his fourth child, so that'll be my 24th grandchild.
Wow!
Nicholas always says, "How many kids you got now?" I got 22, and I said I had 23, and then every time I see him, that's the first thing he asks: "You having any more kids?" So it's funny, but yeah, I don't know. My career was sort of did it like Nicholas in my spare time. I was more interested in family and fishing. Fishing was sort of ahead of golf, believe it or not. I'm ranch work. I love fixing up ranches. I owned about 15 ranches, historical ranches that are run down. I like to fix them. And, of course, that wasn't real good for my golf. But bottom line is, I don't have a lot of complaints. Let's put it that way.
You don't. All right, let's do Mickelson and Tiger and get a little sense on golf right now, John. What do you see? Let's do Phil first. He's had a good year, so we really should not be that stunned that he had this kind of round in him, and this tournament in him. He told us after the Genesis in L.A., I saw that last Sunday, he said, I'm close. I think I can win a tournament. I'm looking forward to going to Mexico City. I think I'll be in the hunt. And lo and behold, he played that in a lot of ways like he's, played Muirfield a few years ago. He studied it. He had a good back nine. He was right in the mix. He putted well. He made the big putt on 16. I mean, at 47, 48 years of age, that's a hell of a win. Let's break down him for a sec. Let me hear what you thought. Go ahead.
Yeah, you summed it up pretty well there. He still had a few errant tee shots, but his irons, which had been just so-so for most of this year. But the thing is, he kept playing. He played all those tournaments in a row, and he was, he wanted to get winning under his belt before Augusta, which is 4 weeks away. And, the guy is, he's kept his motivation and his love of the game and the desire and work ethic. And he's lost, quite a bit of weight, and he's in best shape of his life. He's hitting it farther than he's ever hitting it. And his putting is like crazy with that, that pencil claw grip or whatever the heck you call it. And then, of course, his scrambling ability is amazing. Even when he hits it in the trees, he can make great recoveries. And, the guy right now, he's sort of dangerous. I mean, I don't think anybody would be that surprised if he were to win the Masters.
No, definitely not. And I tell you what you noticed yesterday, John. He loves to analyze a course before he plays it. I mean, he likes to go there and, get all the yardage markers proper, figure out the right spots to hit it. He seems like you would know better than me because you're with him a lot. I'm never with him, but you get the idea. He loves the prep work of a major event. Is that correct?
Yeah, Phil is pretty confident in himself. You know, they always said Nicklaus knew the name of the unknown soldier, and Tom Watson knew his brother's name, and Mickelson knows the whole family of the unknown soldier. I mean, there's nothing that you can ask Phil that he isn't an expert on, and he just, you know, he has this amazing self-belief. He is very smart, same as Watson, same as Nicklaus. But that's one characteristic of the guys that really stay up at the top is they don't depend that much on the caddy. The bottom line is they do their homework with the caddy, but they're the last say. Where you watch a lot of the young guys, you know, there's this 5-minute discussion on every shot with the caddy being almost equal say in what happens, you know. But the real alpha dogs, Nicklaus, Watson, you know, Phil, and guys like that, they're the lead guy, and Phil is just, he's amazing that way. He has got so much confidence, and he has such a good attitude. You know, he's just all positive. You can't get him to say anything really negative about his game hardly at all.
And a lot of players, when they get old, John, the first thing that goes is the putting. And at 48 years of age, now we all know that he can miss some. I can recite. We all both can about, you know, some of the big putts and big spots over the years. But he is still you just mentioned the grip. He's an excellent putter. And isn't that supposed to the first to go when you get to be 48 years of age?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't go to that grip on his putter because things were wonderful. Let's put it that way. But those that kind of pencil grip, or whatever you want to call it, takes some of the nerves out of the lower hand on the grip, and that has been a lifesaver for him. Plus, he has such an intense putting routine of you know, he'll hit like 100 4-footers in a row all the way around the hole, and if he doesn't make every one of them, he'll do it over again and over again. I mean, the bottom line is he is really a hard worker, and he's very aggressive. You know, the other thing is, my dad said, if you want to be the best, you got to be willing to do things the other guys are too chicken to do or not willing to do. And like that shot he hit up through the trees, I mean,
what a shot! What a shot that was!
I mean, you get in car wrecks, but if things go your way, if you're going for more flags than the other guy, and you're willing to be a little more aggressive on the putts and hit driver off the, you know, off the tees a little bit more, and if your game's on, you're going to beat the guy that's playing for money percentage shots, you know. So the guys that really could spread themselves away from the field are the guys that do things the other guys just don't do.
All right, so here it is. Thomas hits the ball, Eagles 18 with a tremendous fairway, whatever shot he hit, 160 something yards into the cup, gets to 16 under. You figure that he's going to be snake bit. Mickelson, he birdies 16. He does what he has to do on 17 and 18, and then goes to the playoff hole, sees that he's in a little trouble, and sticks the ball in the green, and gives himself basically 2 chances to win. Make the putt, and then if you miss it, the other guy has to make a tough 8-footer. He played it perfectly the last 3-4 holes, John, and we have seen Mickelson, as you know better than anybody, Winged Foot U.S. Open off the garbage can. We have seen Mickelson at times not do that. He did that well yesterday. Is this the new Phil I'm going to see the rest of the year? What's your take on that?
You know, that's again well said. But I mean, it's hard to take one tournament and say that's going to be what's going to happen the rest of the year. But he did, like you say, he birdied the par 5 15, 2-putt birdie, and then he made that about 20-footer on 16, which is, he knew he had to make one more birdie to get in the playoff. So that was big time. And I think there's a little bit, Justin Thomas, who's been playing better than anybody on tour, he's definitely number one right now. But I think sitting in the clubhouse, a little bit of disadvantage after, you know, Saturday he shoots 62, Sunday shoots 64, unbelievable score, the lowest final rounds in the World Golf Championship ever. I think Mickelson had the advantage coming off the course, playing good, confidence was good.
Good point.
And going to a 3-par. Where Justin Thomas, you know, he said he was really amped up, the adrenaline was pumping, and he hit a good wedge, but just had too much going, amp-wise, and went over the green in that fluffy grass. And that I always say, Kikuya can't screw you, and that's just what happened to him. You know, the Kikuya grass is really tough to land short and expect a good bounce on the pitch shot.
Yeah, excellent point. You go right to a par 3 after a short layoff is a big advantage. The great Johnny Miller, of course, NBC. We're going to see him in a couple weeks at Bay Hill, thank goodness. Glad to see him back in the mix here. All right, let's do Tiger here. Again, I've watched some. It seems like, I don't know if he's ready to win yet, but he's obviously he's going to be competitive in Augusta. He's got these 2 tournaments. He loves Bay Hill. You know that. I think he'll play well in Augusta. I don't think he's going to win it, but I think on Sunday he'll be lurking. I think he'll be in the mix at that great golf course that he loves. I think all in all right now you got to be very happy if you're a Tiger fan. He's a factor, and you can't ask for more than that. Beginning of the year, Tiger being a factor, John, and that's what he is right now. What's your take there?
You could never, even though the signs are just slightly positive of what you're seeing in his game, but you can never count Tiger out. You can't ever count even a Phil Mickelson out. But Tiger's in another league. But, it's whether or not – the big thing is Tiger's playing some good golf, and he'll have some good rounds in the next 2 weeks. But can he do it for 4 days? That's the secret to winning, is you got to be able to do it for all 4 days. You can get away with a 71 or a 70, but your bad round can't be 74 or 5. And that's what I'm looking for right now, is to see if he can keep that bad round out of the 4 rounds. And, his game, when you analyze the game right now, he's got an amazing amount of club head speed. Some of them have said up to 128 miles an hour and 122, no problem, and he's hitting it a long ways. But I'm not sure if he should be swinging quite as hard as he's swinging. If I was caddying for him, I'd say, okay, 2 or 3 times around and go ahead and let it go. But the rest of the time, let's keep it in play and let his iron game, which is the strength of his game, is his iron game when he's on. And then, of course, he's great around the greens like Phil. But right now, there's a ways to go. But we're also excited to have him in the mix on a Sunday. Whether he can play Sunday golf like he used to, it's probably a little bit doubtful, but I would never count him out. He's trending in the right direction, like you said, and it's very exciting. Imagine if you had a Masters where on Sunday you had, let's say, Spieth and Justin Thomas and throw in Tiger and Phil in the mix. I mean, the ratings would go right through the roof.
That'll be phenomenal. Do you think that Tiger will be a factor in a major this year on a Sunday?
I think that Augusta is going to show you a lot. I do believe that if he doesn't win by the end of the year somewhere, I think the prospect for Tiger, he's got to do it this year. He's got to either that or losing a playoff or something. He's got to start trending, because you just can't have Tiger finishing 25th or 30th or 40th or miss an occasional cut. He's too good to be that kind of a player, I believe. So he needs to do something. He's had enough time to work on his game. He needs to show that he can challenge and finish tournaments if he's going to have this great second career, so to speak. And only time will tell. But I never count the guy out, though. I will. When you got that much talent, Nicholas told me one time I had gained a lot of strength working on my ranch and was all muscle bound and gained like 20 pounds of muscle, and I couldn't hit a fairway for my life. But he says, you don't have to worry about Miller. He's got too much talent not to resurface at some point. And of course, Tiger had more talent than anybody. And you can't ever count him out. So it's fun to watch. There's nothing more interesting than to watch now Phil and Tiger. I mean, come on. And then Justin Thomas shooting 59s and shooting 62, 64s. And I mean, what an amazing run he's on, So golf's in a pretty good spot right now.
Oh, it sure is. McIlroy, what's your take on him?
Boy, if you look at the guys that are sort of down in the dumps or no-nos, you got to look at Spieth hasn't won this year, Koepka hasn't won, Hideki Matsuyama, Sergio, Tiger, of course, hasn't won, Kuchar, Henrik Stenson, Webb Simpson, all these guys. And Rory is probably the biggest surprise of how poorly he's played. But I'll tell you, he could not read a green. I don't know if you ever watched him putt. He misreads 10-footers by 6 inches. I mean, you can see when he stands there. I can see when he's standing over the ball, he's already missed it. He's aiming way off line from where the break is. And I don't know what he's going to do about that. He might not want to hear me say that, but his putting is really, really bad. And you cannot win on tour hitting it the way he's hitting it right now, which is not great, and then putting even worse. So, if he could turn it around in 1 or 2 weeks, you never know. Maybe you get a different caddy. Maybe, I don't know what he's going to have to do. But right now, he's married and he's in love, and he's made $1 trillion dollars, and I don't know where he's at, where his head's at.
That's well, he's never been a great putter to begin with, so that's another thing you got to keep an eye on too. Dustin Johnson, listen, he hasn't really. He's been good, but he was at the top of the world before he fell down the stairs there last year in Augusta. Which we can ask what happened there all we want. Bottom line is he didn't play, and he would have won that tournament. He's only won the one. For a guy of his greatness, he's only won one major, which is something you got to consider. Spieth's won 3, and he's younger. You got to figure he's got another one in him here this year. What's your take on where he played well this weekend, so it's not like he's not playing well. What's your take on him for a sec, Johnny? Let me hear.
Well, of course, he won the Tournament of Champions earlier in the year, but he's had a great run, but it wouldn't totally surprise me if we've seen the best of Dustin, even though, he's definitely good, but, he could stay up there, but he's got to get that putter rolling again, and the driver's been slightly off. So, Augusta should be perfect for him, like you said, and we'll see. A lot of Augusta, if you'll notice, the winners seem to always have a good first round. So, most guys get so amped up and excited about playing in the Masters that they just can't handle the pressure. So if you have a good round, 70, 69, 8, 7, 6, somewhere in there, those are the guys that usually end up contending on Sunday and winning. It's not the guys that have the nervous, twitches on Thursday and shoot 74. So you'll be able to tell more what's going on the week of the Masters on what the guys shoot on Thursday.
Are you one with this group of golfer? Listen, I love the place, but forget me. I don't know if you loved it. How about Shinnecock for the U.S. Open? What's your take on that?
I think Shinnecock, shot value-wise, is the best course in the United States. I just think because of the weather, it's windy, it's overcast, it's warm, it has all these different weather patterns. It's very linksy. It's got all kinds of different kinds of shots and shot values and difficult iron shots, and it's anybody that's got a chance to play Shinnecock. I think it's quite a bit better than a lot of these.
So you think Shinnecock, in a lot of ways, John, is the best golf course in America?
Absolutely. I just think it's got the best shot value. That's not to say it's my favorite, because you got the beauty of Pebble Beach, Cypress Point, and then, of course, you go to Augusta, the beauty of the flowers and the maintenance and everything. But as far as just shot values, that's the course.
Wow. Now, do you like – I think it's a great idea. How about them moving the PGA to May in 2019?
I think it'd be good. To be the last, the caboose is not always the best, but guys that embrace the PGA, for me, the PGA was quite a bit down in ranking with the other 3 majors when I played. I wasn't sold that everything revolved around the majors. Jack promoted that Nicklaus, and Tiger really kept that promotion going on big time. And now people, all they do is talk about majors, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that, in the early days, the majors were, they were really important, but they weren't that much more important than a lot of the other top tournaments. But, the bottom line is that going first, or after the Masters is a good slot, really is. And I think the PGA will benefit from that. You do. All right.
Will Europe, how will they deal with playing Ryder Cup in Europe? I think it's in Spain. Is it in France? Isn't it in France this year? I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's club de golf, I think. No, whatever it is, it's in Paris, outside of Paris. So.
How will the Europeans deal with the fact that we buried them there in Minnesota a couple of years ago? How will they bounce back this time?
Well, we haven't won in Europe, the location of Europe, in like 20 years. So we're the one. The U.S. they're the underdogs just because they have to get over the hurdle of winning over there. With their vocal crowd, and the Minnesota was crazy. The crowd really. I give them the credit for winning that Ryder Cup. It was so amazing, the energy that was there. Well, you're going to have the tables will be turned, because they'll be all excited to win the cup back and to keep the streak going of winning in Europe. So it's going to be very exciting. I don't know if that's going to be my last televised event. I might end up doing a few more, but next year. But we'll see what happens. But I'm going to be 71 in April, so it's been a long run. I've been playing the tour and announcing for 50 straight years. That's a long time.
Boy, oh boy, and you're still at the top of your game, John. I love talking to you. Great to have you with us for a few minutes. We'll get you again. I'll get you again before the Ryder Cup. So you answer that phone. You answer that dopey phone. You got that? I'll get you again.
Okay, let's see you, Chris. Good job.
Okay, Johnny Miller, thoughts 8 in front of the hour. We continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed.